Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video is an exciting one for me to film because it is all about those hidden gems. It's my top 10 palettes under $10. Now, I love a high-end palette just as much as the next person, but there's a certain thrill that comes along with going to the drugstore or buying an inexpensive palette online, getting it home and realizing that the quality is amazing. So I'm gonna go through the list in no particular order. There's things that I like about all of these palettes in different ways, and I'm also going to do some swatches for you guys, so let's get started. Number 10 on my list is the BH Cosmetics SHAANXO palette. This is the original and it's actually only $7 or $8 right now on Ulta's website. It comes with 9 eyeshadows and a mirror on one side and then 9 lipsticks on the other. And this is actually surprisingly similar to the Kylie Cosmetics bronze palette. And I remember comparing the two back on Instagram maybe last year, and I got a ton of comments saying, why did BH Cosmetics rip off Kylie? And I had to tell them this palette actually came out first, so it may be the other way around, but no, I'm just kidding. But really, this palette is very similar to Kylie's palette. If you love like those really warm neutral shades, you're gonna love this. The pigmentation is so good, the quality is excellent. I don't really use the lipsticks on the back since I don't tend to go for lip palettes very often, but they are really nice lipsticks as well. If you are into lip palettes, I think you're just getting a lot for your money with this one, so it's a great option to try out. And then number 9 is the Sultry palette from Profusion Cosmetics. This is actually a huge palette. It has 24 shades inside and a lot of really bright bold colors, some gorgeous greens that are super pigmented. It actually smells like coconut, which I happen to love, and you're just getting a really nice color selection in here for an amazing price. Under $10 for this many eyeshadows is kind of unheard of, and they're really good too. They do also have a neutral version of this. I think it's called Natural, so I do plan to buy that one as well and swatch it for you guys at a later date. But for now, definitely if you love like some of these brighter, bolder colors, this is an awesome palette. I highly recommend picking it up. Number 8 on my list is the Retro Love palette from Bad Habit Beauty. This is an exact dupe for the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette. Now, Bad Habit Beauty is definitely known for duping high-end palettes, but they do it in such a way that you really cannot tell the difference. The quality is amazing, and sometimes I even prefer the Bad Habit palette to the original. In some cases, like with this, this formula I do like a lot better than the Subculture. And I also have just been obsessed with Shop Hush lately, which is where you can find these because they have an app, and when you shop on the app you get free shipping with every order no matter how much you spend, so it's definitely worth checking out and downloading to your phone. So if you love the shades in the Subculture palette but you either didn't pick it up or didn't like it, definitely give this one a try because you're not going to be disappointed. It is fantastic. Number 7 on my list is the NYX Avant Pop palette in Nouveau Chic. There's 2 different versions of this palette, and I feel like nobody talks about these anymore, but I think this is one of NYX's best formulas. It has 10 different shades, and I like the mix of your neutrals, your browns, but you also have like a burgundy shade, you have a really pale lavender in here, you have a dark olive green. So it's kind of an interesting palette, and it's a little bit different than all of the, you know, just warm orange red palettes that you see all the time. Even though there's a little bit of color in here, I feel like it's very wearable, and these shades are, while they are colorful, they're also more muted, so they're not gonna look like crazy or bright on your eyes. All the shades are so soft and pigmented, so this is definitely worth picking up. I got mine at Target, I believe, but I think you can also get them at Ulta. I'll leave links down below. If you haven't tried this, definitely check it out. So coming in at number 6 is the E.L.F. Mad for Matte 2 palette. There are other versions of this, but this is the one that I like the best. It has those really warm tones and 10 all matte shades, so if you love matte eyeshadows, you're definitely going to want to pick this up. I feel like mattes can sometimes be hard to do. They can kind of be powdery or not pigmented. These are actually really nice. Definitely one of the best at the drugstore, and also I feel like they blend really well, they apply really well, and you can easily like build them up to your desired intensity. And over primer, they're especially amazing. So definitely head over and check this one out if you love matte eyeshadows. Number 5 are the CoverGirl True Naked palettes. I remember when these first came out, I saw them and I thought, CoverGirl eyeshadows? No way. Because back then, that was a couple years ago, and at that time, drugstore palettes were awful. The Maybelline palettes were awful. L'Oreal, like nobody was coming out with good eyeshadow palettes at the drugstore. But what got me about these was the sign that said you can compare them to a $54 palette, and I immediately thought the Naked palettes, because these are called True Naked. So it piqued my interest and I thought, well, let me see, are they really that good? Yes, they are. I think there are 5 of these total right now. I still have the 3 originals, but there is a jewel toned one that came out a while ago, and I just saw a smoky one at Target the other day. So I have the Roses, which is supposed to be kind of like the Naked 3 palette, and then Nudes, which is very similar to the cooler tone Naked 2, and then the Goldens palette, which doesn't really remind me of the Naked 1, but I guess it is a little bit warmer toned, so maybe it could. I mean, it has less shades, so that could be why it's tripping me up. So if you haven't tried these yet by any chance, definitely next time you're at the drugstore, pick one up. I think you're really going to enjoy the formula. It is incredibly soft. There is a bit of fallout because it's so soft, just to warn you, but the pigmentation is amazing on these, and they just go on so smooth and so silky. They are definitely a must-have. Next up is another palette from Profusion Cosmetics. This is their Mixed Metals palette, and it actually comes in a kit with like a primer and an eyeliner and I think an eyeshadow brush for $10, which is crazy. But inside, these colors are absolutely gorgeous. Again, it kind of reminds me the layout of the SHAANXO palette or the Kylie palettes with these big round pans, but it has really beautiful warm tone colors. Once again, with the warm tones, I know, but this is another great option if you love warm tones. I think you are really going to enjoy this one, especially these shimmers that are in here are crazy. This one, Pharaoh, this gold eyeshadow, is one of the prettiest golds I've ever used out of any palette, and they really just show up so nicely on the eye. Just an overall gorgeous palette to work with, and it's a little bit, even though it has those warm tones, there are a few sort of different shades in here that make it a little bit more interesting. Number 3 on my list is the NYX Lid Lingerie palette. This is an adorable little palette, but it packs a punch. You get 6 different shades in here, but they are all either like matte or satin finish. There's no shimmer at all, and a couple of the colors actually remind me exactly of the Modern Renaissance palette. It's like they picked out all of the best neutral shades from the Modern Renaissance and put them right into here, and you get like your matte highlight shade, you have a couple of transitions, and then some deeper colors, so you can create probably a few different looks just with these 6 colors. So this is an awesome travel palette, and again, the pigmentation on it is fantastic. I really love the formula of this one. It's easy to blend, easy to apply. So this is another one I feel like nobody talks about, but I got this way back when it first came out, and I still use it all the time, so it's definitely one to check out as well. So coming in at number 2 are the new Wet n Wild palettes. Now they did change the formula when these came out a few months ago, and they added a few matte transition shades to each palette. However, I do still prefer the old formula to these a little bit. I feel like it was just a little less dense, a little easier to pick up on a brush, and slightly more pigmented, but that doesn't make these a bad palette at all. In fact, one thing that really impressed me about these, even though the pigment isn't quite as strong, is that once you get these on your eyes, they last all day. These are so long lasting. I used the Rosé in the Air one not too long ago, and I didn't use any primer, and I was actually shocked by the end of the day how it was still on my eyes and it still looked really good. And maybe the denser formula is actually the reason for that, because when you have like those really soft powdery eyeshadows, if you don't use a primer to help them grip, they can definitely fade or just sort of blend away as you're using your brush. So that is one thing that I love about these, even if you do have to build them up a little bit more and it maybe takes a little bit more effort to apply them, they're longer lasting because of the denser formula. So definitely, if you haven't checked these out already, I highly recommend it. The colors are all awesome. So you have Not a Basic Peach, which actually I thought originally that this was a new color scheme, but they did do this palette a long time ago and it was discontinued. A lot of people have compared this to the Kylie Vacation palette, and I have to agree, I don't have that, but just looking at photos online, it definitely looks very similar. And then Rosé in the Air is a very close dupe for the Modern Renaissance palette. I swatched them together on my Instagram a while ago and it is almost a dead-on dupe. It's pretty crazy. And then Comfort Zone is the same as the classic Comfort Zone that they had before, with the addition of 2 matte transition shades on either end. I have the original, and like I said, when I swatched the two side by side, the original seemed like it was a little bit more pigmented, swatching it with my finger, but I do think that the new formula lasts longer on my eyes and doesn't create as much fallout when I'm applying it, so I do really enjoy that about it. And then the last one is Nude Awakening, and this one is sort of that more neutral, like work appropriate, very easy to wear shade selection, and it is also a little bit more cool tone. So if you're tired of all those warm tones, definitely check this one out. And then number 1 on my list is the Milani Everyday Eyes palettes. I have almost all of them, and these are probably my favorite drugstore palette of all time. They have the best formula. They're incredibly pigmented, super smooth. The matte shades are amazing. They last a long time on the eyes. They're easy to pick up with a brush and blend. The shimmer shades are super buttery, and the metallic ones especially are intense. When you put them on your eyes, they just make your eyes pop. I also love the color combinations that they came up with. The first one, Must Have Neutrals, is just that perfect neutral palette. You have every shade that you need in here. Beautiful transition color, highlight colors, you have a black, and it's very cool toned. And O2 Bare Necessities is very similar to the first one, but just a little bit warmer. And then the next one I have is Earthy Elements, and this one is really rich, warm tones with, you know, you got your orange in there and your really warm browns. And this palette, when it first came out, I feel like not a lot of people were doing oranges, and it was sort of at the beginning of the warm trend, so I was a little afraid of it at first, but I've come to love it. And then next up is the Basic Mattes. This is one of the newer ones that just came out recently, and it's an all matte palette and perfect warmer neutral colors in all matte shades. And then the last one is the Must Have Metallics. This one is intense. I mean, if you like metallic eyeshadows, this one is crazy. You do get a matte black in here, as well as sort of a little bit more of a satiny highlight, but the other 4 shades are incredibly shiny and metallic and out there. It kind of reminds me of the Tarte Pro To Go palette, which when I swatched these side by side though, this one is way more intense, even though the colors are similar. The Tarte one is just a little bit more muted. Alright guys, so that was my top 10 palettes under 10. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And I would also love to know in the comments below if you'd like me to do any more top 10s, and if you have ideas, definitely let me know. And also, please subscribe to my channel to be notified of future videos. Thank you guys, and I will see you in the next one.